So I think it's time to get a guard made for this little hunting knife. So the last episode, we made the foundry so that we can cast a brass guard for this knife. And this episode, we're actually going to attempt to do the casting. So full disclosure, I haven't done casting since junior high, which was decades ago. And you may ask yourself, well, why are you going to try to do a casting? Because I've got these chunks of brass right here. That and that and that I actually just want to make into some bars so that when I need it, I have it and it's in usable form, which this is not in usable form. This kind of is, but I have to draw it out. As you can see, I've drawn out this section of it and cut out pieces for guard and all that stuff. But I did some copper guards with the foundry. And I figured if I'm just going to try to get all this brass into a couple solid forms, why not just attempt to do a casting? Now, I'm going to try to do a guard that's actually really close to this shape to begin with. And I want to try to actually put the hole in it, but whether or not I'm going to succeed with that, I really have no idea. But I'm definitely going to give it a shot. So what I'll probably do is possibly go a little oversize on this because I'm anticipating maybe some little imperfections in it that I can grind out. If I get lucky, it'll be nice and smooth and this is going to fit right in it. I have no idea. I really don't know what to expect. I'm just going to try to cast this and see what happens. If it fails, then I'll have some ingots that I can work from or some little bars that I can work from, and we'll call it good with that. I basically got everything ready except I need to make the mold for the guard, and I'm going to do that out of wood. So the funny thing is that I made this flask and everything just so I could do a two-part casting, but I think it's going to be easier just to do a pour from the top. So if I take the mold that I make and just lay it on the top, put it in there, lay it on the top, and then I can grind the top of that guard flat. So I don't have to do a two-part casting, which I thought I was going to have to do, but I think I'm going to be able to get away with just a one-part casting, which I think is going to be a whole bunch easier. So let me get the piece of wood that I'm going to start the guard with, and then we can go from there. So all I'm going to use is a standard 2x4. And then I'm just going to clamp this in the vise. And then what I want to do, the first thing I want to do is actually cut a slot in here that's going to be 3/16 thick, and then, you know, the width of the tang here. So I'm just going to go in here like this and then draw some lines going that way. And then draw some lines going that way. And then what I want to do is I want to put up a stop right about here so I can drag this across on the stop. Actually, I can probably just use, yep, that'll be perfect. I'll just use the edge of my bench, go across a little bit, and then we'll be good to go. So got my start and stop points. just like that. And it should be just about, yep, we'll be good with that. Okay, so now I need to basically trace these dimensions onto here. Okay, so overall, I'm at about 1 7/8 inches. And then I started this thing, it looks like about 1/8 of an inch past there. So if I lay down my pattern on here about where that tang is going to sit, right in the middle there, and then I mark 1/8 past the spine, that's where the guard is going to start to the back, and then 1 7/8 to the front. That's about where the front is going to be. So at this point, all I'm doing is laying out some lines so I can cut out a square. So just like that. And then I want this guard to be, it's probably going to be about 3/4 of an inch thick. So if we put 3/8 in the middle, right here, and then we mark that there, and then that line there, then we've got our 3/4 inch width. Then we've got our 3/4 inch width on each side of the center of that tang. It's actually a little larger, which is what I want. I actually forgot about that. So we're going to cut this guy a little large to the back and a little large to the front. Okay, so I'm going to go cut out this block right here. Okay, I've got the block cut out this direction. Now I just need to figure the thickness of the guard, and on here I've got I want to say 7/16 or so, about 7/16. So we'll just go a little thicker than that. We'll just do a 1/2 inch. Actually, I'm going to go just to the depth of my tang, because if this is actually sticking out of the sand just a little bit, that might be better, because as you cast, when the metal is hot, you'll have a convex surface, and then as it cools, it'll concave. So you can kind of see like this right here. This was bubbled up, and then when it cooled, you can see this little concave area. So basically, I'm just going to cut to the depth of this tang. And let's get that depth. So we are at a little more than 1/2 inch. So we'll just go, that's basically where I was going to do it anyway. So we'll go about there and see what happens. And just like that, we have us a nice little square. So, boy, that does not fit so well. It's a little bit loose. I mean, it's good, but it's just a little bit loose on that slot. So, I think we'll be fine, because the beauty of brass is that it's very malleable. So probably what I'll do is, if this hole, if the slot works out the way I hope it does, what I'll do is, when I take it out of the mold, I'll just hammer it a little bit, and then it'll smash that hole up, and then we should be good to go. So anyway, at this point, I'm just going to start shaping, you know, somewhat close to what I wanted. So with that, kind of need to pop some layout lines on here. Let me see how close. Yeah, so I'm definitely a little over like I wanted. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just round the back side of this a little bit. Like so. And then from this point, we're going to start tapering toward the front. Something like that. So we're just, I mean, this will probably change once I do the final shape. I might go more square. Really depends. And then I'm going to do basic shaping down here to kind of follow where we want this to go, if this makes sense. So let me pop the knife in here just so I can see where things are falling. So that actually looks about where I want things to be. Okay, so I mean, basically this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to shape this around here and then take out some from this area. And then, I mean, I think that's going to be close enough that I can start filling the sand up and we'll get working on the casting. Okay, so first things first. I got some of this casting sand that I will just put into the little flask. I don't know if it's called a flask when it's only one part. I have no idea, but we'll call it a flask. So I'm just going to build up a layer high enough that I can put my piece into. And I think the tricky part is going to be, like I said before, the hole or the slot for the tang. I'm hoping that if I coat this with some powder, I'm going to put this into here, and then hopefully I can fill the inside of this, and when I pull it up, it'll stay there. We'll see. I'm sure somebody's watching this like, oh, you're an idiot. But you know what? I'm not afraid to give things a try. Get a piece of wood and pack this down. I really don't think I need to pack it down too much. But I kind of don't want things to move on me. Loosen this up a little bit in the middle. I'm going to coat this with the powder. Okay, I'm going to press this down into here. I have a feeling this may not work, but still gonna give it a try. Pack this into there. Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna pull this little middle section right out. Okay, let's see if we can pull this out of here. I probably should have put something on this beforehand. But maybe if I can get a screw started in here. Yeah, it's just pulling that slot up with it. So yeah, that's pretty ugly. So now what I'm wondering is maybe I can just make my own slot. So I think I have an idea. So I pushed the this back in here. I pushed the mold back in here. And since I can't get the middle to stay, I know that you can cast into wood. So I got a piece of MDF, and I'm basically just going to press this down into the sand like that, and put it down enough that it's kind of sturdy. And then, I mean, I'm hoping that that's straight. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. Actually, I'm going to press that down more. And then I'll pull this back out. Try to keep the sand where it's supposed to be. Stay. It's kind of sticking to my wood because I forgot to coat it again. All right. Okay, and I'm going to set that back in there, pack everything down. So essentially I'm going to have a little weird spots over here, but again, this is going to be reshaped after it's all cast anyway. So I think we're going to be good there. So this is how we're going to do it. Going to give this a whirl, and I think it's time to kick on the foundry and start heating up some brass. Brass is in there. It'll heat up as the foundry heats up. And And I'm also going to set my ingot molds on top of the foundry so that they can warm up and all the moisture can escape from them. Okay, we're starting to get warm. It's almost to the point where it's going to start melting, so almost there. So some of the brass actually spilled out in my forge, which is fun, but now I've got a couple chunks of brass, and then here's the guard. Yep, it's ugly. It's very ugly, but we do have the slot and the basic shape is there. So I think once I get this all cleaned up, it's going to be exactly what I was after. So we'll get going on that. The first thing I want to do to this is actually fit the knife into the guard. That way I can see how this fits in here, and then when I grind the top, I can keep it perpendicular to the blade. And at that point, then I can start doing the final or very close to final shaping on this. So I'm going to cut out some leather strips, kind of in the shape of the blade, and then that way I can use that to protect the finish. I mean, I know that I'm going to be doing a little more work on the blade before the final fit up, but I still want to protect it the best I can. And the reason I'm using leather and not just tape like I typically do is because I'm going to be smashing this in the vise, because I'm going to do a little bit of a press fit. So basically I'll clean this out so it's somewhat close to the size of the tang, and then I'm going to want to hammer this down onto the tang so it's a nice tight fit. I'm going to clean these edges up just a little bit. Just need something for the vise to hold on to while I do a little bit of filing. So I'm just going to go a little bit at a time on this. I'm going to go between filing and pressing back and forth, because I don't want to leave any gaps. I want a nice tight fit. So if I take too much at one time, then most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to try to press this on here and it's just going to slide on, and then I'm going to have gaps. It's not a huge deal because, like I said before, this is brass and it's going to move a little bit. If I open it too much on the edges, on the sides, I can always hammer it in and close the gaps up. But here's the point of the leather. With the leather, I can actually smash it in there really good. And then pop this on here. And then I've got, this is just a rough little pipe that I've had for a while. I think since I started doing this, and all I did was smash the end so it would fit over the tang. It actually works all right. I think that's why I've never tried to make anything better. Yeah, so we have a ways to go. Almost down to where I need to be here. So I did a little bit of filing, heating, cooling, hammering, all that stuff, and I'm putting this on backwards. So between all that, I'm getting this pretty close to the shoulders here. Try putting this on the right way this time. Okay, I think it's got to do a little more filing because we're hitting the edges here. And I don't think it's going to stretch as easily as it widens up. So I'm going to do a little more filing. And I'm going to go take a little bit off the top here and get it closer to the finished surface. We're almost there. I'm just trying to round these corners off a little bit where the shoulders meet up with the tang, because I think that's where it's holding up at. So let's give this another shot. It's looking good. Oh, so close. I mean, we're probably like a 64th of an inch off, maybe somewhere around there. Anyway, almost there. Just takes a little bit of work to get it on there. All right, fit up, and it's a good fit. I'm pretty happy with it. And the next step is basically just the shaping of the guard. So my first step is going to be to get the thickness down to about what we've got on this picture. And I'm going to leave it just a little bit large, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so. That way when I clean up the face of this, or the top area, it's going to be just about where we want it to. After I do that, I'm going to draw some lines on the top so I can get the width that I want and the length and do everything I need on the top. And then once I get that, I'm going to start carving in my little hollows right here. So I'm going to start right here. Just got to get everything leveled out here. So I'm going to go up about 1/2 inch. It's a little larger than what I want, but that'll be close. And then from there, I'm just going to scribe some lines on here. I've got a little bit of a mess on here. Anyway, I'm just going to scribe some lines at 1/2 inch so we can get this nice and flat. So I put a little blue dicum on the top, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this right up against the side of the knife and draw a line here, draw a line here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. That way I've got two beautiful lines straight down the knife, right in line. And from there, now I need to basically decide how far past the spine I need to go and draw a line on here. And then I need to decide how far past the edge I need to go, or I guess the ricasso, and then make that mark on there. So about 1/8 inch. So I also marked where the knife sits on both sides here. So I'm going to mark 1/8 inch that way. And then what have I got here? About 3/4 inch. So, man, that is actually 3/4 inch is actually pretty much right where the front is. You just have to take a little bit off of there. But anyway, that's that right there. So the other thing I need to do is decide how wide I want this. And I think I was saying 3/4 inch, which I think that might be too wide. I can't quite decide yet. So if I put the middle at 3/8 and 3/8, yeah, I think that's going to be too wide. We'll just start there. We'll start at 3/4, and then when it's done, if it's too wide, then we'll figure it out from there. So I'm going to put this right in the middle. or at least what I think the middle is. And we're going to mark 3/8 over here. And 1, 2, 3/8 over here. And then we'll go to the front and do the same thing. It actually needs to be about here. So 3/8 there and 3/8 there. Now I just need to draw a line. Okay. So now I just kind of have to get my shape here. And this is where things just kind of happen. So I'll make this shape and this shape, and then I'll do some rounding back here. And then once it's done, if I don't like it, then I'll fix it up. I'll just make some adjustments until it's where I like it. This is where things get eyeballed a lot. Okay, I think the back looks pretty good. Okay, I think that's about the shape I'm after. Need to round these edges a little bit so it's not just a square and then curved. Here's where we are, and this is where we're going to end this video. So with the guard roughly shaped, I'm going to pull this off of here so we can get a better view. So you can see that leather does a really good job of protecting this steel. So anyway, with the guard shaped and fitted, we're ready to shape the rest of it, but I don't want to do that until I have the handle fitted up so that we can shape those together and make them one solid unit. So I've made the mistake in the past where I've shaped the guard and then I've gone a little too narrow down at the bottom, and then the handle all of a sudden is, you know, like a little twig. So we're gonna get the handle fitted up first, and then from there we'll basically finish up the knife. So handle fitting, shaping, we'll get the nut on the back side and we'll get it all assembled and cleaned up, and then that'll be the end of this, except for possibly the Kydex sheath. So next video, we'll get this all finished up. And if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. I really enjoy helping anyone who gets help from this. I enjoy sharing the knowledge that I have. And when I don't have the knowledge, I like showing people the process that I do to figure things out. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next video.